to Spiritworks Cinema, where we watch all the movies. Today we're doing the Chucky series, or Child's Play series, but what do you call it? The box says Chucky. But 3 of them are Chucky, 3 are Child's Play. So, again, the star of the movie is Brad Dourif, Chucky. So we'll call this the Chucky series review. Great box set, by the way, has tons of stuff. I hadn't seen the first 3 of these in quite a while. Well, the first one I've seen somewhat recently, but 2 and 3, I don't think I've seen them in forever. I didn't remember them. So it was kind of cool to watch all of these, watched them over 2 nights. And one thing that is fantastic about this series, and again, you've only seen this, I mean, Phantasm has 4 parts, and Coscarelli wrote and directed all 4. But this is 6 parts, and Mancini wrote all 6. So he directed 5 and 6, but he wrote all of them. And you get an unprecedented level of continuity between all 6 movies. And that's awesome. I don't know, that just really, really works for me. And this is also one where I do not think the first one is the best at all. Not even close, honestly, for me. So, you know, the idea of killer dolls, I think Dolls, Stuart Gordon's Dolls, did it very well. Puppet Master did it very well. But in general, they're a bit silly. Now, that Twilight Zone episode with the marionette, that was creepy as all hell. When I originally saw Child's Play, the first one, it was always like, well, he's just a little doll, and not much happened. So let's talk about the first movie. The first movie came out in '88, and you know, it's kind of, this is near the end of the golden years of horror, and it has almost no blood in it at all. It's very tame, and only 3 people die in the movie. The story is Brad Dourif is some kind of serial killer. He's trying to get away. A cop shoots him, and he transfers his soul into the doll, the Chucky doll, which, you know, the big dolls were kind of big in the 80s. And there he comes back to life as a doll. Well, obviously they didn't have any money, so you don't get much of the doll effects, and I think that's part of why I like them more as the series went on, is because you get more Dourif. He sells it. I cannot stress enough that Brad Dourif makes these movies freaking awesome. The more he talks, the more awesome the movie is. So, in the first movie, you know, he's terrorizing the kid. Of course no one believes the kid, because they never believe the kid in these movies. I swear, if my kid ever comes up to me and says, hey man, my doll is possessed and trying to kill me, I'm gonna believe him. I'll set the doll on fire. Why not? No, shut up, here, sit with this doll, fucking kid. So, the first movie is very, very 80s. There's nothing dynamic direction-wise. In fact, it's funny, the directors of the first 3 movies only really ever did TV stuff. They did a couple movies here and there. The director of the 3rd one, I forgot his name, but he directed a bunch of Lost episodes too. But they weren't really film directors, which changes with 4. So, again, visually, the first 3 movies are not interesting. At the end of the first one, you know, they kill Chucky, blah, blah, blah. Of course, nobody ever really listens, because it's very clear you gotta get him through the heart, blah, blah, blah. Alright, fine. So, the first movie, it's a fun little flick. You know, if killer dolls freak you out, then it's gonna be pretty fucking creepy. If they don't, then it's like, he doesn't really do much, he's not that scary. All these people would not have died if they weren't pussies. Like the first death, she gets scared of seeing him and goes, ah, and falls out a fucking window. Really? How about, what the fuck are you doing here, doll? And smashing it. Why would you do it? But again, that's, you know, suspension of disbelief, I guess. The second one has the same kid. He's in a new foster home, and his mom's committed because, you know, she kept claiming there was a doll. Makes sense. That's what would happen, honestly, when nobody backs up your story. So, of course, Chucky gets rebuilt and comes back from the factory. He has a metal head in this, metal underneath to make his skull, which is interesting because that disappears. Now, as far as the writing, the continuity is fairly flawless, but you can tell where there were some liberties taken in the directing, like manufacturing the dolls and stuff, because he doesn't look the same destroyed as he did in 1. That, I give that a pass. Again, continuity in a horror slasher type series is non-existent, really. I mean, they do an okay job in some, but not to this level. So he goes around terrorizing the kid again. They up the kill count, makes it a little better. Little more of that, a little more Chucky too. You see more of him. You get a couple more lines from Dourif. Not quite balls out yet, but more. You know, they end up in the toy factory, and they kill him by melting down a bunch of stuff. It's kind of an overly long scene, and the kid is okay, but again, little kid actors aren't that great. They don't have a lot of charisma. Kind of hard to sell. You don't get a lot of Dourif, which also kind of, his other foster sister, I guess, she's kind of meh. So you got his foster father is kind of a prick. But other than that, there's nobody really to root for to die or not die. So it was kind of a little better kill count, a little better thrilling, I guess, wise than the first one to me, but not much special. Basically a rehash. A year later, we got Child's Play 3. This time he's in a military academy and 5 or 6 years have gone by. I think this one is better because it definitely is more violent, and you get more Chucky talking and him being more of a creepy bastard. So I enjoyed it more than the first two. But my God, this military academy would have been shut down in seconds. First of all, they have live rounds packed next to the paint rounds, which ends up being one of the coolest fucking scenes in the movie. I know it sounds wrong, but I love watching kids die in movies. Why? Because people are pussies and never kill kids in movies. And I don't mean something sad, like Macaulay Culkin dying from a bee sting. I mean, you know, like a little kid's head being held to doors and an axe chops through it, like Mr. Fulci. That's freaking brutal! And it shocks most people. You know, so, but the rules of this military academy are ridiculous. The kid's being bullied. You know this little prick's gonna get it. The bully is gonna get it eventually. It's the same stuff. Chucky realizes now that he's been built into a new body because, of course, they reopened the plant to make these dolls. Why? Because the CEO's a douche, which is very clear, and it makes it fun. You want him to die. And so he has a new body, so he told his secret to someone new, and he can go into this kid now. It's a good dynamic there, actually. The way Chucky kind of brainwashes the kid and his interaction with the other kid, it works very well. It makes it kind of fun. But basically, it's a rehash of the first two. And, you know, in the end, of course, Chucky's completely broken down and destroyed. Then we get a long break in the movies. And they come back with Bride of Chucky, the fourth one, directed by Ronny Yu. Did Bride with white hair, also Freddy vs. Jason later. Now, one thing Ronny Yu has, I'm not a huge fan of his movies. Like, Bride with White Hair is a pretty cool flick, but it looks amazing. So, one thing I noticed right off the bat with 4 was it looks way better than all the other 3 movies put together. Now, a lot of people kind of get lost in this because it adds a little element of humor with Tiffany, and played by Jennifer Tilly. But, again, to me, Brad Dourif is these movies. And by doing so, he becomes the star, and I get him talking a lot, and I like Tilly's character. As a killer doll, to me, it is funny to begin with. So by embracing that, and also, Bride of Chucky is Bride of Frankenstein remake, which they don't even hint at. They flat out show her watching it and have the same ending. So I thought that was a really cool idea, and I think it works. The kills, way more violent, way more gory. All the humor worked to me. In this one, Jennifer Tilly's character finds the destroyed Chucky doll, and she's reading Voodoo for Dummies to bring him back, and finally brings him back, and eventually they get in a little lover spat, and he kills her and puts her in another doll, which then she gussies up to look like the Tiffany doll. So then you've got this pair going on a killing spree, you know, which is mirrored by, there are other characters in the movie, but again, they overwhelm it, which, again, I like. I really kind of wanted everybody else to die. You know, he's such an asshole, but again, Dourif's acting makes him cool. I like watching him be an asshole. This one has Katherine Heigl in it, which I thought was kind of funny because she looks really young here. And her and her boyfriend have some trouble, and John Ritter is her husband and doesn't want him to hang around no more. And they eventually they're gonna run off together, and of course they end up with these dolls. Jennifer Tilly says she's gonna pay the guy to drive these dolls somewhere, and chaos ensues. I think with the fourth one, you know, added that level of humor. To me, it really worked, so I liked it more. Now they have a sex scene in here, which isn't too bad. I mean, it's not like Team America over the top. So they have the sex scene, and at the very end of the movie, she gives birth. So where are they going to go with that? Honestly, when I saw it, you think it's more of a gag. But again, remember, these are all written by the same guy. So Seed of Chucky, the fifth one, Mancini takes over director reins as well. And John Waters is in it, which makes it automatically more awesome because John Waters is in the movie. So, Seed of Chucky, you start out with this dysfunctional doll child who's thinks he's Japanese because he has a made in Japan thing, which they didn't have before, but they had the amulet thing too, which they added, they didn't have before either. And, you know, he's going to find his parents. The Chucky and Tiffany dolls are actually being used in a movie, and Jennifer Tilly's playing herself, and she's voicing Tiffany. I like that kind of step back and admit it's a bit silly and kind of out there, and looking in on it with that real world view. I think it worked. It was something I hadn't seen before, and it's silly as all holy hell. I mean, the scene with Waters watching Chucky jack off, oh my god, that's just, it's funny. Seed of Chucky is gory. It's actually really gory. Like, Redman eats it pretty hard. That's worth watching for the gore alone. But this is definitely full-blown horror comedy. This is not, you're not going to get that horror element. This is a horror comedy. I think it works very well as a horror comedy, though. You know, but there's lots of lover spats, and the end of the movie is pretty neat. Tiffany is trying to transfer her soul into Jennifer Tilly because she wants to be Jennifer Tilly, and Jennifer Tilly plays it great. I love actors that kind of can look at themselves and make fun of themselves. And she plays like, you know, kind of a snotty little bitch. And you know she's just, that's not her, although she wouldn't be playing it. But Tiffany wants to be Jennifer Tilly, so they do the transference, but the doll is killed, and you don't know what happens until the epilogue. And you see all like Jennifer Tilly's kids have this ridiculous red hair. And I'm like, what the hell is red hair? Oh yeah, it's Chucky hair. And yeah, I think it's a very fun movie. I laughed my ass off watching it. I've always liked it. And that was kind of the end for a while. I think a lot of people were disappointed in the comedy level. So I didn't know what would happen. But this year we got Curse of Chucky with Mancini back as writer and director, and Dourif's daughter's in it. And from the trailers, I couldn't tell. It looked more serious. So when I watched this was the first time I'd seen it. After watching the other 5, I noticed Chucky looked different, and I was really bothered by that. He looked almost CGI-ish, and I'm like, oh, it's not. Why does he look so clean and calm? And it was this one is very dark, very serious. The humor elements are removed. However, the continuity is still there. They talk about how Chucky never killed the kid in the first one. That kind of stuff. And a little bit of a spoiler if you haven't seen this one since it's so new. You find out all the continuity's there. Chucky actually had makeup and plaster on, and he is all fucked up like he was in the last movie. So you've still got the same fucking Chucky, and but he's mean. He's really mean in this. I mean, the kills are dark. The kills are brutal. The main character is paralyzed from the waist down. And again, I'm going to spoil it here. Come to find out, she's paralyzed because Chucky stabbed her pregnant mother to kill the baby, but he didn't kill her. He just severed her spinal column. That's just brutal. So, I mean, this one is... Curse of Chucky's freaking awesome. I would watch it. It's my favorite of all of them. To me, the best in the series. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. This is a great box set to get. As far as the movies, for me, it's pretty easy. They got progressively better to me. Child's Play, I'd give a 6. Child's Play 2, 6.5. 3, a 7. Bride of Chucky, 7.5. Seed of Chucky, 8. And Curse of Chucky, I'm going to give a nice 8.5 out of 10. Maybe a 9. Again, it's still a killer doll. I don't know, I have a hard time getting into the killer doll, but damn it, the last one was good. So this series I was impressed by, because it always got better to me. As far as films, maybe the 4 and 5 are not scary, but I thought they were better made in what they were trying to do. Box set here, it's pretty good. It's a nice set, not too big. 2 and 3 have no extras whatsoever, but 1, 4, 5, and 6 have bucket loads of extras. So this is a nice set. Transfers are good, obviously. 1, 2, and 3. They've got that typical 80s haze you're going to see on a Blu-ray. So I would give the box set a nice 8.5 out of 10. I would give it higher, but again, there's nothing for 2 and 3. I mean, anything you could have given us for those? That's the only reason I'd knock it down. But this is definitely worth picking up if you haven't got it. If you don't care for the other ones, just pick up Curse of Chucky. That's a great damn movie. So I hope you liked the review. And be sure to like it, share it, and we'll see you here next time at Movie Mayhem.